Hi guys, old man Chris in the 83-degree shop, I think it is. It's a little bit warm. This is a part one actually, because even so it might be a bit long. I'm making an oil pot which I was inspired to make one by Lee, that's the name of his channel, Lee. And I think, let me check, it's Lee Peedin, Mr. Pragmatic Lee. He made a very, very nice oil pot which he's making for Keith, What's in Your Box. And last year I didn't get anything done. This year I thought I must make something, and this seemed a super idea. Anything is, my material choice was a bit limited, smaller diameter. But I think it'll work out. And there's one other thing I made back in, 1988, which I'm going to pass on to Keith, which might be useful for somebody. So there we are, that's about it. Most of the explanation is within the clips as I go along, I think. And part two will get done, I hope, whenever I can manage to work it in with temperature, but primarily actually when the old back's able to cope, because I'm doing short-term standing, try and cope with this stupid old thing. Age sucks, as many know. I also was going to say, it's only just occurred to me, the WIYB bash is coming up very soon. I wish to heck I could go, I really do. It's too far, I can't travel for long, whether I'm sitting, standing or whatever. I can't take the time off, and I couldn't afford the trip anyway, but I hope all of you guys who watch my channel and are going have one hell of a good time. I shall look forward to some after action reports on that. So anyway, let's get on with the oil pot, and part two will come when it comes. So, this is something to chew on whilst I get the rest done. Alright? Right, before I explain what I'm up to, which will be in short doses probably, try and keep the old back happy. I was watching, can't remember now, it's a guy with a channel. His channel I think is just down as Lee, but his name's Lee Peedin, Mr. Pragmatic Lee. I've watched him a bit recently, and he's just been making an oven-engineered oil pot, and it gave me an idea. First off though, we're thinking of Keith's What's in Your Box, which is a long way ahead yet, but I thought let's stay ahead of the game, because last year I didn't get anything done for him. But this is something I'm going to give to him, and only because really I just haven't used it a lot. I'll try not to get too close, I'm on autofocus here, but I think it'll hold. And it's for holding a straight rule, and I was actually quite proud of it, in as much as this was made in 1988, and there was a lot of handwork. I didn't have a vertical mill then, and I'm not sure actually how I cut all this away. This is made from a 2x2 square, 2.5 inches long, and you can see there that there was a hole drilled first before the material was removed, and then we've got a little travelling slug in there, and the purpose, if it isn't already apparent, let me get this in. I just tighten this up against a scale, and then you can put that on your surface plate just as a height assessment. If you've got a height gauge and stuff, probably doesn't matter, but this might be useful for somebody who's starting out. And as I say, a lot of handwork went into that. and I'm still quite pleased with it, but I'm going to use that as one thing to go to Keith. Now the other thing, which is what Lee was making, he had a piece of, I think it was about 4-inch round aluminium. If you want to see what he was making, I'll try and remember to put a link actually in the description eventually. But he turned that down, hollowed it out, put a base plate on, generally made a very nice job. But in my case, as is usual, I've said it so many times, what have I got? Well, I've got this chunk of aluminum here, 2 1/4 diameter. Many thanks to Bill Lewis who gave me that. 2 pieces actually, plus a piece of 10L14. So, in order to make a pot or can, I thought what I would do, this is going to be, I think the one that Lee made was about 2 inches high. I'm going to turn this down enough to clean it up, and you'll see what happens when we get going if it works. So we're going to make a top spout, for want of a better word, and in this case, unlike the one Lee made, I'm going to make the spout able to take a piece of fairly thin walled tube, which would be more or less pressed in with Loctite. So we'll have about 1 inch projection here for a brush to go in. This will go down near to the bottom, and one thing Lee did, which was a very good idea, he castellated the bottom of his piece, which I think was actually going right down to the bottom. This won't, so I probably won't have to bother. So once we've done this end and got it decent, we'll turn it over, bore it out, and then we'll turn a shoulder into this end, and it just happens that I've got this chunk here, which was from a piece of plate, and I think that was when I made the collar for the depth stop on the mill. This is just larger, and if we can get this chucked up, probably using tape or maybe a super glue mandrel back plate, turn this down, put a shoulder on it, press fit into the bottom, then machine it all up, etc. Anyway, I won't bore you any further there. So I'm just facing off here, this bit here, which may or may not show. I'll zoom in now. Alright, that's better. So you can probably see here the we haven't really finished. I'm trying to get my light set up. You may see that area's not fully faced, but it probably won't matter because we're going to cut back about 3/4 inch, something like that. So I'm going to do some more prepping work, and I'll bring you back when we're making some progress. I'm going to take the lightest of skims just to clean this up. I've just touched off and checked here. I'm taking just about, I think, a 5/3 cut. No, that's not going to be enough. Let's try 10. Not too bad a finish. Better than it was anyway. So I'm going to set up and cut this back. I want to leave, you might just see there's a witness mark. Let me zoom in a bit more. Yeah, the witness marks there in inch 100. So I'm in the end probably going to go down to about an inch. And this piece, I might even leave it at that. When this piece of tube goes in, it's got to be cleaned up a bit. Right, let's get set up. Tell you what, I've tried various tools here, including a carbide with a chip breaker on it, but that didn't help. So I'm just getting a bundled bird's nest of chips. Can't seem to find a cutter that'll do any good. Because of that, I'm not taking a huge cut. So I'm just going to work my way down to the witness mark. I can't seem to get over that. I did try an HSS, which I thought might have been more well behaved, but I don't know whether Bill said what this is, whether it's 6061, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's not sort of heat treated hard, it's fairly soft, what I used to call half hard. So I'm going to carry on, get that down towards the witness mark. Won't bore you with all of it. I put a live centre in there. There shouldn't be much spring off a chunk like this, but I think I was getting a little bit. But I still have to stop after each cut and clear the stringy old chips. Well, a heavier feed helps a bit, but it still doesn't really break up very much. What a mess. Had this before with aluminum. Anyway, we're getting close to the witness mark, so I'll come back again. By the way, another example of the use of my cross-slide stop is in this instance. Now I've got the centre in, I haven't got space to pull the chips off. But having set up the cross-slide stop and come back to my last cut, release it and then carry on. And put in another 20. I'll set the stop again. Yeah, it's very tedious. Yeah, what I was trying on that cut was going cut, stop, cut, stop, cut, stop to try and get the chip to break. But this stuff is so ductile, I don't think I've got a way around it with the tools I've got on hand. Right, I'll come back when I get down to the line or just beyond. And just taking some smaller cuts. This tool, I don't get any chip breaking, but it gives a better finish, so I'll just take it slowly, almost on the witness mark, and I'll check the diameter. Lock the cross slide again if I go back. That again was what I'd call slightly incremental cut. It wasn't exactly stopping at stages, it was just easing off the feed because I'm feeding by hand. and that does make the chips a little better, except this time they're long and stringy. Alright, witness marks coming up, so I'm going to get to that and just a bit below. It should be about approaching, probably approaching about inch 100. We're just below. My target's probably going to be inch 50, which would be big enough, I think. Alright, that's it for this little spell. Be back soon. I'm just going to put a touch on the centre drill cone there with a spotting drill to get a better start with the with the drill. It's a 120 degree. Now I've got to try and drill right the way down, so I'm going to see if I can get away with. I've got a fairly good fresh 7/16 here, so I might see if I can get away with that without doing a smaller hole. I'll give it a try. May have to run a bit slower, of course. Well, that can't be a very good grind on that one. Let's try something else. Well, I've gone up just a smidge. See if I can get away with it. I've got to start. Well, it gets a bit slow up this end, getting the chips out. Well, that drill gives me 3.5 plus, and I actually want 3.5 there, so let's see if we can find something larger. That's going to be bored out to the tube diameter, which is at 7/8. Needs a bit of a polish, but that's going to be the max diameter, and here is 7/8. And we'll finish that with boring. I've got this very old 3/4 on a Morse, and we'll see how it goes. I've gone into back gear now. This is where the chips start to struggle to get out. Probably not got the smoothest flutes in there, but I'll finish that off because it takes a bit longer. In a bit, drill, out, clear, etc. Right, I've taken a couple of passes, and that's coming out at, let me see, 790. So I've got 41 to go. I'm taking a very light cut to try and avoid too much grooving. try a 20. No, I won't. I'll keep it at 10. It takes longer, but this is a pretty stiff boring rod, but boring bar, but better that way. I'm going into 1/200, which should, just check here, 1/125, 1/200, should leave me about almost a quarter actually for the top wall thickness. So anyway, I'm going to take some other passes on here. It's a bit slow. Let me come back in a bit. Well, I just took a spring cut, which took another thou. I probably shouldn't have this boring bar stick out quite so long, but I couldn't be bothered to change it out, you know, shrink it. Anyway, this may well be the last cut. I've only got to get rid of about 4 thou. I want to finish up at 8.7, 8.73, 8.74, polish the tube and get a fairly tight fit and then Loctite. It's slightly annoying, just a little bit of chatter on the first 16th. Not sure quite why that was, except for the resonance on the boring bar. Let's see where we're at. I should probably turn that off actually later on when the tube insert is in. I should probably take off a smidgen off that. Hopefully it'll be alright. Let's check. Because I've still got a little way to go. Almost there. Just finish that off. Alright, it's slightly less than 2 thou undersize. This is almost ready to go in, but that's going to be cleaned up and polished, so we'll gain a little bit when we come to put it in. Still weird, you might be able to see it, that little bit of chatter there as the tool was coming out. Anyway, I'm just going to put a little bit of chamfer on here for now. This of course is going to be turned down a bit more later, but this will do for the moment. I think I might add a bit more. Anyway, the next thing is, thinking about it, bandsaw. We'll hack that off. We'll chuck this again with some soft jaws and work on the bottom and bore it out to get the main hollow. Well, I'm just picking up on this again. Just had a nice bunch of heavy storms. The fit of this in here, which if you remember is going to go down the middle when I bored out all this lot. You see, we got it cut off now. We've just got an awful lot of material to take out of there. Now this will actually go on there, it'd be a tight fit, but I pushed it a bit far just now and it was actually, to get it off, it was galling. Aluminum on aluminum, didn't like it. So in order to make the final fitting a bit easier, I've got this as a tight fit, a good fit, which will go in with Loctite, and then back here I've see where we're at. yeah, that's going to give me a good thou or so clearance. So I'm going to turn this round, turn down that little bit, and then see where we go from there. Now I got probably a couple of thou at least. It's not a very good finish on there, but this is all going to be inside. So that'll all be a nice through fit, and then this top piece, which I haven't gripped very tight because I didn't want to squash the tube. So you can probably see there's a slight line there. That's going to go in fairly tight, and with Loctite I think we can get that down. But then this end, I'm not sure actually, I may have to shorten it, because, let me just come back a bit. Yeah, this, you see this is actually a bit long. So we'll go, it looks like I ought to lose about a ½ inch actually. I'll trim that off. So this will go down to the bottom, and with some relief holes, slots, probably do that in the mill. This was more or less what Lee did. He ran a milling cutter across and calculated it. That means if it goes very close to the bottom, that if this falls over, you have to have a lot of oil in there to get some spillage. So I've got to clean up this bottom here, and then if I put it, can't remember where I put it, there we are. Yeah, this this slug of aluminum which came out of another job, if I can fake that up to chuck it, get it to round and put a shoulder on it, fairly maybe turn down 2/3, leave a shoulder, and then bore this out to take this as a press fit with Loctite. So we'll see. I think I've got to clean this up first probably. I don't know. I can't decide. You know the feeling. What the hell do I do next? I think I'll keep thinking about this. I think I'll do the sacrificial chuck idea with some CA, see if it'll work. I'm going to put some grooves in here. This is what, let me see, Click Spring, Chris, he does this a lot. And I'm not so sure that Stefan Goswinter hasn't done it too. So I'm going to try it. It's pretty smooth. Not equally spaced, but I'm not going to worry. Hang on a minute. I don't think this should need degreasing. That should be alright. Let's get a decent position to get this stuff squirting out. Probably got far too much on here, but try and get a decent bond and then heat the bugger up when I'm finished, if it all holds. Alright, let's get this piece on Right, let's try and get some pressure on it. A little bit of ooze to the side, but not much. So I'm going to leave that overnight. It's got to the point now where I'm going to quit. I'm doing this in small chunks, which I said earlier. Try and keep the back happy, sort of. We seem to be stuck alright. I've taken a quick starting cut on here. And this is thicker than I need for the base, but I'm going to leave a small unturned register here so I don't cut into the glue chuck, shall we say. And I'm going to reduce that down to probably just over 2 inch, and some of this will go into the base of the pot, some won't, which will be turned off later. I don't need this thick at the bottom, although I don't mind a bit of extra weight. So we'll play it by ear really, nothing's super critical. Let's take one more light cut. I'm just bringing this down to about 2.052 I think. And we'll bore a section in the other piece to 2.051 probably, try and get a press fit. What have we got? 2055. I think I'll leave it at that, and I've marked up the glue chuck, shall we call it, because I'm going to leave this stuck on for now until we've worked on the other piece. I will just for the moment put a little bit of chamfer on that. That's okay. This part here, which has still got die chem on it with the center hole pop, that's going to be the inside, so I'm not worried about it. So I think what we'll do is set up the main piece, and there'll be a lot of boring material to get out. Just clean up the bottom of this quickly before we start some boring. As usual, the bandsaw cut is not 100% square, but it wasn't far off actually this time. So I'm going to set up a smaller boring bar, get this enlarged, and then go up in size. I won't show an awful lot of this initially because it's going to take a while. I got this enlarged out a bit, enough to get my big old boring bar in. But one of the problems here is I'm boring back to about here. It's about 2 1/4 inch, and despite having tried different bars, different cutters and such like, I get, if I take a 15 thou cut, I get slightly better chip removal in as much as a spiral comes out the front. But when we get about halfway down or more, the chip does not escape very well and we start to get bound up. And the thing to remember is that the top end, out of sight here, is the top reduced diameter, which we're going to put the tube into. so that it's not like boring through and through. We don't sort of push the chips out the back, we get a congestion. So I'm having to check that and clear it out sometimes. I'll take another 15. Chips everywhere. That took a while. Just couldn't take any really big cuts. Chips everywhere, the whole lathe is an absolute mess. Big clear up coming. And so I'm up to just arbitrarily 1 3/4 inch. And the piece I've got to go in the bottom is 2 inch, just over. So I'm just going to take a clean up pass. The inside of this isn't too important actually. I'll just see if I can show. I don't know whether it'll show on the video. Oh, you can see some of it. The rear wall, I've left about 1/4 inch at the top, wall thickness. There's a little bit of inconsistency with the boring bar finish because I finished up using, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 cutters trying to get the best result, and this is all inside, nobody's going to see it. So the top wall thickness is about, what did I say it was? I'm just trying to remember now. So the top wall thickness is actually about 3/16, and this wall thickness there is 1/4. No, it is. Yes, it is. But one reason I'm going to leave it pretty thick is, being aluminum, it's not that heavy, but I want to have some weight to it. I think it's got a bit more substance, and this is going to hold plenty enough oil, I think. So I'm just going to take a light finishing pass here. I don't know whether you saw in the mirror picture, the far end, the top reduced diameter, is absolutely plugged full of chips. So chip clearance has been a problem now and again. Yeah, there's still a plug of it up there. So, as I say, that took a fair old time. So I'm going to change tool, and then we'll come across to a reasonable depth, and we'll get that bottom slug in, turning that to exact size if necessary. Loctite it, and then turn it, clean it all up, and then flip it round, and we'll deal with the tube insert, which I'm going to put in the mill quickly actually. Anyway, that's it for now. I thought I'd do this as a part 1. And there are several operations to come, and I'll do a part 2 on that, which will keep things from getting too long, added to which it's only small doses I'm doing here. Alright, so we'll see you later.